Hey guys, back again. This time I want to talk about The Shape of Water, which I just saw, and I'm really excited to talk about because Guillermo del Toro, I've only seen a couple of his films, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, Hellboy, but all of his films I've seen I think are really are good to fantastic, and I think that The Shape of Water is no exception because The Shape of Water to me takes a concept like something like Creature from the Black Lagoon, um, but makes it really interesting because of the characters and because of the story. And I think that the story itself is pretty simple. It's just about a woman named Eliza who is mute who meets this amphibious creature played by Doug Jones of all who does almost all these monsters in these types of movies. He was in Pan's Labyrinth too, but it's about her and she meets this creature in a lab where she works as a janitor with a girl named Zelda, who's Octavia Spencer's character, and starts falling in love with this creature, and it sounds like it could be very bare bones, like simple, or very like, oh, I've seen this story before. A woman falls in love with a monster, and I think that this one does a great job of being different and being unique because of the great way that they establish these characters. I love how we've got two main characters who are mute. Like I love how it's Sally Hawkins' character Eliza is mute, and then the amphibian man is mute. He doesn't speak. He doesn't make any noise because he is not human. And I love the idea that we can get so much out of not so little, but we can get so much out of characters that do not speak. And I love how the characters who do speak are really interesting. Octavia Spencer and Richard Jenkins, they both are characters that have flaws to them. And I think that I don't want to say what they have with wrong with them because I want to keep it spoiler free. Because then you go in and be surprised, and I love the idea of how these two characters, who are the speaking characters of the four, um, have issues, and I love the idea of that. And I loved especially just how these characters all interacted. I thought that they were all very interesting. I thought that the way that Eliza is, like how carefree and how childlike she was, but she's an adult, she's a full adult, but how childlike and whimsical she acted, and I liked how she was so likable even though she never spoke. I thought that that was really cool that you get so much likability from this character from this actress based on not even speaking. Like it really shows how good of an actress this is. And I don't think I've seen Sally Hawkins in other things. I know that she's in other films, but I want to go and see what other things she's been in now because she is fantastic in this movie. Like everybody's great, but she's really legitimately fantastic. And like I said, we also got Octavia Spencer and Richard Jenkins and Doug Jones, and we also get, to me, one of the, like, Michael Shannon is a fantastic actor anyways, but man, he knocked it out of the park in this one. This role that Michael Shannon plays is amazing because Michael Shannon is so good. He's such a great actor, and I don't even want to spoil anything about his character. I just want you, the viewer of this, to know that Michael Shannon is unbelievable, like unbelievably fantastic in this movie. And he is always a great actor. Like last year we had Nocturnal Animals and he was as fantastic in that movie. And he's one of those actors that nobody ever, like if you're in the mainstream, they don't really talk about him much. Like he's just kind of an actor that's on the sidelines in terms of popularity, but in terms of acting, he is really fantastic and so underrated, and everybody needs to appreciate him more because he is so great in this movie, and he's so great in a lot of movies that he's in. Um, and he blew me away. I could not believe how strongly I felt with his character. Not explaining how I felt, but just I felt something with his performance, and that's really what I'm gonna say is that all these performances were fantastic, and I felt for these characters, and they all have things about them as the movie goes along that it really elaborates on that makes you feel for them all. They really have flaws, and I loved how they all just worked so great together. But just I thought, and it is just like Guillermo del Toro's other movies. This is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's more subtle than like Pan's Labyrinth or Pacific Rim or Hellboy. Like it doesn't go completely all out with like stylish visuals. It's more realistic and grittier looking in terms. It's more based in the real world. It's not like I said, Pan's Labyrinth, where there's another otherworldly location where like they're at, and it doesn't look real. This all looks real in this film, but it still looks beautiful despite it being in the real world, despite it being bleak and like a bleak time period they're in. Like it is bleak and sad, and I love the idea of how beautiful it looks still. It looks fantastic, and it's interesting because, like I said, it's not something that is visually different than what we see every day, like in like a bleak looking world. Like it's not like, say, Pan's Labyrinth, where looks different. This is just the real world, but it looks so beautiful even if it's bleak, if that makes sense. You probably saw that if anybody's seen the trailer for this, but it's beautiful. And it's so weird to say that for it being bleak, like just a bleak world that they're in. It's really an interesting accomplishment that you can make it look that beautiful even though it's bleak. To me, I think that's a great accomplishment. But this just blew me away, and I think that I can't really say much about it because it really is something that you need to go into clean and really see what happens throughout. It's not something that I can mention much besides that it's a girl who kind of falls in love with this amphibian creature that's human-like. That's all I can really say, but I thought performances are fantastic, visuals fantastic, acting is out of this world. It's so good. It's so great. The writing's great. Like I said, you feel for all these characters, and it's just so interesting how he brought all of that together, because probably with a lesser filmmaker it probably would not have worked with all these things that are in this movie. It's hard to explain again because I don't want to say anything, but I thought it was fantastic in my top 10 of this year. Everybody go out and see this. If you're a fan of Guillermo del Toro, to me, I think you will love this movie. I feel like there's not a lot of people who are ripping on it yet, but I mean, every movie is going to get ripped on by somebody, but this one seems like so far it's getting great praise by critics, and people are liking it that aren't critics, so go and check this one out. I'm curious to see what people will think of it, especially with his other films. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.